I got the video game Kirby Mass Attack on release 2011 because I'm loyal to the series in total and it's a well-reviewed game. I'd say it's insufficiently documented how awesome Kirby as a series and world can be, but then the online fanbase did a pretty good job of documenting it, so I can just sit here having ultra-personal existential life lesson video essays inspired by the games. I didn't like it. Though showing the series' panache, the game was slow, reiterative, and unfair in how slow and reiterative it was. And slow. The controls and gameplay were tedious. Nintendo TDS. I played as far as to unlock and complete the much more enjoyable sub-games, then sold it off secondhand like we used to do with pre-owned video games when we didn't know how sought after they'd become. I later felt I'd potentially been unfair about it, and the pre-owned copies rocketed in price, and if I wanted to retry, I could emulate or pay. Emulating would add save states and fast forwarding and fairer controls. That'd be a good idea, but a generous friend gave me their copy of it, and I'm having another go now. It's still slow, reiterative, and unfair in how slow and reiterative it is. Taking it more patiently, I'll wince through it and probably appreciate when my carpal tunnels recover. My carpal tunnels have worsened through a long life of clutching. I can no longer play Street Fighter with a gamepad, definitely not charge characters. I learned this in a casual but still prize and dignity involving Street Fighter 2 tournament when I got through a few rounds and then just thought I'd try Guile and endured way more than 2 health bars of real pain being easily defeated. Ouch. I now largely only play fighting games on a computer keyboard. Left-handedly somehow because Western never felt right to me, and I've done more MAME than the video game police ought to know. Wii games with motion controls I can barely manage. I consider the console ableist. I guess two-handed video game controllers with screens for the sighted are ableist in ways. Maybe I just consider it exclusionary of me. I don't feel I lack the motor skill exactly, I just find it so painful that I instinctively restrict my own ability. I learned piano as a kid, and I'm good at it in my own way. I'm not that lyrical, kind of rigid, but I make good with what I've got. My scales were never quite turbo. I then learned guitar, and I got a good decade or so out of choppy rhythm guitar, but I sucked at lead fingerstyle noodling. I could do it on a bass with the largeness and the space, but not on a guitar neck. I just couldn't move that way. It was strange to accept that a musical thing was beyond me, and to my interpretation that practice would never get me there. I still record music with guitar, less and less, but I can use the magic of editing to get some nearly adequate solos in, and then wrap my hands up for a week of painful recovery. I can still play piano, operate a computer keyboard, and do various video games with different means of input function without much specific pain. If this worsens to the extent that I can't play piano, I'll try to kill myself and fail due to my lack of dexterity. I can barely handwrite now, at least not in paragraphs. I think that's a thing. Where is my thought train pivoting next? It's to what I hope I've kept as the title of the video, the wavy path to self-understanding. I think I actually always struggled with certain wrist actions and did a childhood of not knowing enough about normal experience to be able to recognize it as something to accept. I allegedly didn't hold a pen correctly. It has worsened, but it was always there. It explains why I was so annoyed at Kirby Mass Attack, why I detest video game challenge bits about hammering button loads, and don't enjoy rhythm action despite being a musician with whip-smart reflexes. Some of this is preference, some of it is objective, some of it is the decay of aging, and some of it is idiosyncrasy. That's what I mean to highlight here. The diversity of individual experience can involve a lot of frustration before the individual self-understands their individuality, especially as it mutates. And then you get trauma and illness, and it feels that our childhoods and even adulthoods full of failing at things and being awkward or uncomfortable about things can have this element where if we knew things about ourselves that we knew 20 years later, we'd know it's not a problem. It's just that this thing isn't correct for us. Oh, unless it is a problem. Because in a similar regard, I grew up anorexic and have more recently learned that my body doesn't process nutrition correctly and never has. I'll make this a video if I get it fixed. I remember a childhood of trying to express how unwell I felt as a direct consequence of nutrition, but my condition being so unrecognized and unknown and ununderstood, I learned that this was just a me problem and the solution was me putting up and shutting up. Now, I was also mentally anorexic and maybe still am. In general, here I'm trying to address learning in old age, how retroactively fucked up you are, and casting it back and combining it with the odd subverbal awareness you always actually had. It was hella obvious. You even slightly knew, you just kinda couldn't cast the certainty of discrete awareness into continuous experience. Because yes, the path to self-understanding is hella wavy. Everyone's self-diagnosing, right? Coming to self-realizations late in life that they then decide was always true about them. Mental conditions, gender, sexualities, whatnot. Oh, that's exactly the model I've just described, and it's also what happens with physical health conditions. Sure, health conditions can worsen, but recognizing lifelong ones involves the glacial pace of self-understanding. In several iterations of my unwell being, I felt foolish in how late I left it to confront, especially given how excruciatingly slow the NHS system has become. It's like, if you have a speck of a whim of something about yourself, get it reported right that moment, and in 12 years' time when you're at death's door with it, you might get it added to your record. But it's about getting past that self-understanding threshold, and we are always on the way there in different regards, until we reach a human nirvana of perfect self-understanding somewhere in our 8th decade, 3 seconds before the permanent dementia kicks in. The regret of the time we spent self-misunderstanding has no purpose in a timeline that only goes forwards. All we can do is communicate more to offer more expedient self-understanding to others. I think I'm gonna complete that game for the series' familiarity. It feels like a compulsion I don't mind my loyalty to, even if it'll be annoying. I'm not gonna complete every motion-based Wii game. I'm gonna be careful with my carpal tunnels, indulging in just occasional guitar, knowing the outcome. Luckily, I'm not all that good at it or fond of it anymore. I don't think we can learn to expedite self-understanding, except with understanding how understanding works. If you've been affected by every specific thing raised in this video, whoa, Colin, I've not seen you for ages. Have you been? You got a YouTube? Let me look. Oh, okay, bye then.